going on, my babies? Welcome back to another episode of The Spiritual Word. As always, I apologize for any noises in the background in advance and anything of that nature. And before I start these, I like to start these off with a disclaimer by stating that these are for entertainment purposes only. Always do your own research to come to your own conclusions, to have your own answers, to make your own decisions. And I believe in your ability to do so, to be your own person. Sorry if I sound sick. I don't feel the greatest right now. But we're going to continue talking about what we were talking about yesterday, which is getting into the last part of basically the final part of how reality works and the way that you use it. And this is the book, if you guys want to go see it for yourselves. It's by Ernest Holmes. It's called Science of the Mind. Oh, and also before I start, I want to say that I have an audio version of the podcast anywhere you can find podcasts, and I have a video version of the podcast on YouTube. They're both named The Spiritual Word. I'm your host, Jackie. I upload Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. I talk mainly about spirituality, psychology, self-help, science, and philosophy. If those are things that you're interested in, then I recommend subbing or following whatever platform you're finding me on. And so basically, we're getting into how to use this information that I've given you. Yesterday I talked about what it was, and it's basically what you say will be, what you think will be, what you feel will be, what your vibration will be. And your vibration is based off of how you feel, your belief systems, your thoughts about yourself, your thoughts about the world, aka your beliefs about the world and everything of that nature. So now we're getting into how to use it. So how to use it is very simple, although it's not as simple as, I describe it to be. So now that you know that God is the infinite, and that God is the law in which it works itself, and that you yourself are God at work right now, then you fundamentally realize that you're just experiencing a fraction of all that there is to experience. You recognize that your wants, your needs, your desires are always going to be met because you unconditionally will support yourself. And the way that this works is because the God, or the thing, quotation marks, the thing operates in law, where it works in the form of a law. And that law is whatever you know to be true will be. And so you basically have to use this to your advantage. Even if you don't believe in this, it will work for you because you're believing the fact that it's not working for you. And a lot of people have a lot of skepticism in whatever avenue of life, that they choose to accept and believe as truth, then that's real to them. Like, for example, I know a lot of people who fully believe in God and fully believe that they've heard the voice of God. And, whatever the case is. And for somebody who isn't religious or who doesn't believe in God, or they're agnostic, or they're atheist, then most likely they're not going to hear the voice of God. Most likely that won't be an experience that they've had. And so recognize that your reality is continuously supporting your beliefs, because that's the way that your reality creates itself. It creates itself through the law, and the law is that it has to work through you. And so because it's working through you, the only way that it can physically manifest is if you know that it's truth. So in order to manifest or to create your experience the way that you desire it to be, you have to fully believe in the truth that the universe is supporting you. And you can't not believe that the universe isn't supporting you. Or you can't believe that the universe is never supporting you. And I'm going to give you an example as to why that's already a false belief. I exist. and you exist. Therefore, we are a part of creation. And to exist is not only is it like a wonderful inclusion of all that is, but your consciousness is at a point where it gets to experience itself. And in order for you to get to that stage, you don't have to have a reason. There's no rhyme or reason to when you love someone. There's no rhyme or reason to why you like certain things and why you don't like certain things, why certain things trigger you, and why some things just don't. Now you can sit there and be like, well, it's based off my identity. It's based off when I was a kid, people used to do this, so I don't like it. Look at the things that you didn't like as a kid. Kids don't have a specific reason as to why they don't like things. They just simply don't like things. And kids are very picky. And it's because we're not meant for everything. Everything isn't meant for us. We're meant to experience the joys and the pleasures of the things that we want, need, and desire. Now, need, I use that because people are going to be watching this and they're not always going to have the same mentality as me. So I use needs as in, like, you need to pay your bills. You need to, pay for certain things in this reality. You need food, you need water, you need shelter in this reality. And those needs are continuously being supported. And the only reason that they're not being supported is because you don't believe that you're being supported, but you're being supported in the belief that you're not being supported. That's a little bit complicated, so let me break it down. Let's say, for example, I was somebody who's really, really negative, and I'm like, everything bad happens to me, and I'm the most unlucky person in the whole universe. Then that's what I will experience. Because I know that that's truth for me. Because my beliefs are what I know. Or better yet, my beliefs are something that has been instilled in me. Your beliefs are just repeating thoughts. And when you repeat a thought enough times, you know that thought to be a fact. Or when somebody gives you a sense of confirmation on that. And so let me give you confirmation on the fact that you do create your reality. Let me give you confirmation on the fact that it's science. And that it's scientifically proven and it's a continuous experiment that is continuously being I want to say not classified, I want to say clarified. And so you're always being supported by the universe, regardless of whether or not you think that. And because you are being supported, let's say you're somebody who's, atheist or agnostic, you just don't believe in all this stuff, then that's going to be real for you. Your experience of not having God or, a religion will be real for you. And your experience of not having encounters with such things will be real to you. Because you're so loved and so supported that you have the free will to go out and do any dark thing that you want to do. Because the universe says you can do whatever you choose to do. This is a playing field where you have every and any possibility at your disposal. What do you want to choose? You are a creator. And creation doesn't want to bound its own creations to what it wants it to be. And because of that reason, that's why people say that there's hell and heaven, and why certain people believe in different realms, which I'm not really inclined to speak on, just because I don't know for certain if those are real to me, or if they're not real to me. I'm at a point where I have to kind of like diagnose my own beliefs. And creation doesn't want you to be bound to the limitations of right, wrong, and any of that type of thing. So, creator or creation, which is a creative, allows you to choose. You can choose to do bad things. You can choose to do good things. They're both in the realm of now. And the argument that I hear the most when it comes to, like, if there's a God, why does this exist? Why does this exist? And it's because God is not limiting its creation. Its creation gets to choose what it wants to do, how it acts, how it feels, what it believes, what it perceives, what it puts out into the world. And Earth is also part of this creation. And the planets are also part of this creation. And so when you see the Earth having massive flooding, or if you see the Earth having, sorry about that, if you see the Earth having, tornadoes that wipe out people, hurricanes that wipe people out, certain things that, catastrophes, disasters, that is Earth trying to, in a sense, repair itself from the damage that humans have done. And it's not by any means trying to punish anybody. The Earth doesn't know right from wrong, doesn't know up and down, left and right. It's not experiencing itself. It's a body itself. My cat is scratching the door so violently right now. Please, trying to record. And that's what I mean by creation is not, like, it doesn't bound you to anything. It doesn't bound you to good, it doesn't bound you to bad. The things that exist are here simply because one, because one exists, the other does exist. And it's not the yin and yang of things, it's the yin and yang is the whole. And we experience opposites to things because we are, in a sense, trying to understand a contradiction that exists to us now. The contradiction that exists to us now is that we are creator, experiencing creation. And because that's so hard to wrap your mind around, you need terms like good and bad. You need to be able to identify what you're looking at in a way that's tangible and simple. And if you looked at the world, it's not all black and white. There's a lot, and there's so much gray area. And that gray area isn't necessarily good or bad. It's only gray until you identify it to be black or white. And let me take this into a different example. For example, if I was a mixed baby, both my parents are Hispanic. So let's say my mom or dad was white, and I'm mixed. White people would have to identify me as a white person, and Hispanic people would have to identify me as a white person or a Hispanic person. But it's down to their diagnosis, their conclusion. It comes down to what they perceive to be their truth. Although we're all living on the same earth, right? I say same earth, but I don't really mean same earth, because just like how there's infinite possibilities of me in your universe, there's going to be infinite possibilities of Earth on all our different timelines, because we're experiencing a moment in time, but time and the space that we experience is kind of like a hologram. And science even talks about how there's there's code embedded in every single piece of reality. There's, we're basically a hologram. And because of that, we're only experiencing here and now. I only experience this room until I step out of this room. But I never really step out of this room, it just becomes a different room. And it's kind of like, if there's a room in a building, do you think about the fact that you're in the building? Or do you think about the fact that you're in this room? Because the only thing that exists to us is here and now. And so you have to get yourself out of this linear way of thinking that everything is just one way. And that I can only go front or, back or side to side because I'm bound to this experience. You're not bound to anything. And creation itself is not bound to anything, which is why you are not bound to anything, because you are creation. You're just a small piece of it. You're a small piece of it, so it gets to experience what it's created. And So, taking this into the way that you use this information, I would uproot beliefs that don't serve you, meaning that if you don't like to see something in your reality, then it's not beneficial to you and it's not for you anymore. It doesn't work for you. Let's say, for example, I'm somebody who hates wasteful people. So I myself go and choose to shop at a supermarket that uses plastic in all of their products. I can choose to uproot that belief and go do something else. Or not. But if that belief isn't working for me, let's say I really despise waste, and waste makes me so sad because I know that the world is going in the wrong direction. Be that part that's going in the right direction. If you're like, I don't like the way other people treat other people, be the direction you want to see. If you don't like the way that your world works, change your world. And the way that you change your world is through uprooting beliefs, grieving that part of you that identified with that belief, grieving that old way of being, and allowing it to pass through you. Now, like I said, you have a different experience of me as I do, because I am the center of my world and you are the center of yours. And because you are the center of your world, you are going to naturally dip your toes into different experiences because of every single possibility exists here and now. So there's a multitude of different dimensions, or there's a multitude of different yous, because every single possibility is playing out right here, right now. And for example, I don't like when people talk about the fact that there's NPCs in the world because I don't believe that there's really NPCs in the world. I used to for a little, like a hot minute, but then I took a step back and I was like, I'm an NPC to somebody. NPCs are not non-player characters, it's just non-player characters in your world. And you've had interactions with every single person in this world based on the fact that there's so many possibilities that you can't just not experience that. And so with that being said, how do you use this? Affirmations are a good thing that people do. Might be helpful to you, might not be helpful to you. Reading, learning, researching might be helpful to you. I'm a very logical thinker, and so to wrap my mind around this took a lot of explaining from scientists, took a lot of explaining from metaphysicists, or people in the metaphysical realm. It took a lot of reading and research for me, particularly me, because I'm a logical person and I need a way to ground what I'm learning. And if you're not somebody who's logical, then maybe just watching a couple of videos about um, a good channel that I'd recommend is Bashar. I'd also recommend watching Rick Rubin on YouTube if you know who he is. I'd watch monks, Buddhist people, um, people who are Buddhist. I'd watch Daryl Anka. I'd watch Abraham Hicks. I'd watch Dolores Cannon. If these are things that just help you by watching or by listening. Another way is to simply try it out for yourself and have an open mind when it comes to this experiment and just test the waters out. Make yourself not necessarily delusional, because if you experience yourself to be delusional, then you experience yourself to not be real, or the thoughts that you're having to not be real. So let's just, play a game with yourself and be like, okay, I'm going to fully believe that whatever I want is coming to me right here, right now, and see how much of it manifests. And notice when the small things manifest, because they are continuously manifesting. Like, for example, I manifest food, which is so silly, but it's, or maybe it's small in the whole experience of this world. But I really enjoy a taste. I really enjoy flavor. I really enjoy like indulging in the finer things. And to me, food is the fuel that you put in your body. So it's one of the most important things. And it's one of the big things that I notice in my life. So when I started to experience thinking this way, that nothing is linear, that I control my physical reality, I sat there and I was like, okay, well, something that I've always done that I will continue to do is manifest food. So let me manifest getting free food. Instead of having to go out and buy the food myself, somebody will offer it to me or somebody will pay for my meal. And then as I went into that next day, my mom bought me food. And, that's not like that big a deal. But then one of my siblings brought me their food that they no longer wanted. And then after that, my older sister came to me and she was like, hey, do you want to go eat with me? And you get to pick. And I was like, okay. And all the foods that were chosen throughout those days were all foods that I was craving in a certain point in time. Like, I literally looked at a Sonic commercial and I was like, oh, I really want Sonic. And then my little sister's like, I'm hungry. I'm going to ask my mom to get me food. And she goes and then she is like, hey, my mom said yes to buying me food, which means you're getting food too. And I was like, cool. And then we went and my little sister's like, what are you craving? What are you in the mood for? And I was like, Sonic. And so we got Sonic. And then the next day when my older sister came to me and she was like, do you want to go out to eat? And I told her, yeah. And she was like, do you want Sonic? And this particular sister is not like a big Sonic fan. So that caught me as a surprise. And I was like, whoa, this is one of those moments where I was like, I'm creating this. So then I was like, I had Sonic yesterday. How about, and at that moment I was thinking about Chinese food. And then my older sister was like, how about Panda Express? And I was like, whoa. And I was like, yeah, I do want Panda. So then we went to go get Panda. And then yesterday, um, my little sister was looking around the fridge for her leftover food. And my mom had eaten her food. So her boyfriend gave me his food so that they can go eat together. And it was exactly what I would be ordering if I ordered my food. Except for like one extra add on, and that was corn. And I'd never had Chipotle corn. So I was like, oh, this is nice. We had Chipotle, or I had Chipotle. And then today, I wasn't really expecting anything, but I was like, I'm kind of craving my mom's cooking. Then my mom made food today. And those are small things, but those are things that I can attest to and testimony of me creating my reality. And another thing that um I can also talk about is the fact that I'm sitting in this room right now. I manifested this room. Um, for the past, I want to say the past 2 years, I was sleeping in my mom's living room because my older sister moved back home and I thought it was more fitted for her to have a room than for me to have a room because she's older than me. And at one point I was like, dang, like when is she gonna move out? Because I want a room and I want privacy. And a part of me was like, maybe I should just move out, but I don't have any credit and I don't want to build credit. And in order for you to buy certain like properties, they like if you get an apartment, you have to have credit. If you're anywhere where you're renting or leasing, I don't think renters necessarily need credit as long as you have the cash in hand, but it depends on the property. For an apartment, you have to have credit or be able to pay a certain fee for not having creditors. It depends on the place, but most places that I've looked at, you need credit and you need 2 weeks of paychecks and you need to prove that you make more than the rent, double the rent. And because I'm a very unconventional person, I don't have pay stubs and I don't have credit. So I was thinking to myself, well, I'm going to find a way to do it. It doesn't necessarily need to be the way that I envision very specifically, but whatever way it needs to work out is going to work out. And then she moved out, and as soon as she moved out, she's like, hey, I can get you a job where I work, and you can move in with me if you want. And I was like, oh, this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted to move, and I wanted to, what's it called, get my own space. And where we would be going, the rooms are on two separate ends of this apartment. And I was like, oh, that sounds perfect. And all I have to do is, have, you know, a job where she works. And that would be ideal because I'd be working very, very close to where I'd be living. And I was like, I don't have money to pay for a parking spot for my car because you have to pay for your parking spots when you live in an apartment. And she was like, oh, you could just sell it. And then one of the dudes that my dad knows was looking for a car, trying to buy his car. And I was like, why don't you just try to sell him mine? Because my dad's is brand new. Like, he literally just got it this year. And so those are just it's my testimony for telling you that you do create your experience, but it's through your reality. If you believe that tomorrow's going to be a very depressing, same thing, same day, same shit, different toilet type of day, that's what you're going to create because creation is giving to you exactly what you want and you're saying that that's what you want. Because creation doesn't understand vocabulary, it doesn't understand words, it doesn't understand right, wrong. It only understands the attention that you're putting to those things. If you get mad because you manifest things that you don't want to see, then that's what it's paying attention to. That's what's going to be unfolding continuously because the world doesn't know off and on. It only knows on. It doesn't understand yes, no. It only understands yes. And the yeses that you give it are not necessarily like, a lot of people don't experience what it means when, or they don't understand what it means when you experience the vibration of attention. Let's say you experience a lot of negativity in your experience and you feed into that experience. You say, well, my life is so depressing. Like, this happened to me when I was a kid. This happened to me yesterday. This is going to happen to me later. I already know it. This happens to me every single time I go here. That's what will be created. You know that that's true. That is your truth. That's what will be created time and time again. So if you know yourself to be lucky, you know yourself to be worthy, you know yourself to be getting everything that you've ever desired with ease, that's what you'll experience. And I am testimony to that. And yeah, I'm going to end this here. I'll probably, continue to talk about the way that this works and how to use it continuously for the next couple of days just because it's very simple, but it's also a very in-depth description of how to use it and what the universe is and how we experience it. So, with that being said, thanks for tuning in and tapping in, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.